realized I didn't change my stream title. Whoops. Let's see here. Let's go with that smiley face. Yeah, okay, so yeah, my day is gonna be pretty simple again. I just wanted to start off nice and normal. If there's anyone tuned in live now or after the fact watching this intro, please consider following my Twitch channel. Consider financial help through the donation page or Patreon if you are so inclined. I intend to grow the channel and focus on Lisp programming, particularly Clojure, and design work as an engineer, that sort of stuff. So if programmatic computer-aided design is interesting to you, please share this around. That's another way to help. And that's pretty much all I've got so far. Interaction with the channel is always helpful, and it would, well, it makes things fun for me, first of all, and it could be a nice way to help sort of shape the community that builds up over these kinds of interests. You know, you could be part of growing the channel. That'd be cool. But enough of that. I'm gonna get into my work today, and the first thing I want to do is show the fact that I've actually solved a problem I've been struggling with for the past couple of days off and on, related to SVG group rotation and how I implemented that. So I just I just want to show that I managed to get it working by showing the design document for this quilt pattern that I finished up. And then I'll get back to designing the desk that I've been working on, and I'll just go from there. So that's the intro. That's me today. So this I've brought up the fact on stream a few times that I use my SVG library to make this instruction document for some quilt patterns that my mom produces. This gets printed out as SVG, or pardon me, this gets turned into a PDF basically, and the PDF goes on sale on my mom's quilt web page. Don't need to get into many details there, but I managed to finish another pattern, and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. In particular, I'm happy with the workflow I came up with, the reusability of this code, which is more reusable than even the last version of things. And I'm happy with the fact that I solved a bug with rotating elements. So this particular shape is rotated 45 degrees from these shapes, which are rotated from this shape, and those rotations were broken with how I had it initially implemented, but it is all fixed up now, and I am extremely pleased that that is the case. So all these rectangles and group tag or group elements and things like that are correctly formed, have their transformation kind of baked into their appropriate elements and all that kind of stuff. It's quite satisfying, to say the least. So all these subgroups are each of the individual parts grouped together for ease of transformation, that kind of thing. The group structure can get pretty convoluted, and you do sometimes end up with unnecessary single groups like this. Like this group tag theoretically doesn't need to exist, but uh, it doesn't, the details of that don't matter so much. It's just useful to have groups in the code implementation to help you kind of reuse little pieces here and there. And at the end of the day, it produces a nice complete file, which is fantastic, if I do say so myself. And then it just comes down to print. And then you print it. There's some settings to mess around with, but print on US letter for the sake of what I need to do here. Print it to a PDF. And it should, in theory, work no problem. Those SVGs get nicely embedded in the PDF. The PDF element of this workflow is still the part that I need to review and fix up the most, because it doesn't necessarily work perfectly. So for example, here there's a margin cutoff that I didn't expect, so I have to look through and just double check that figures don't mess up or render incorrectly for those kinds of things. So it's not 100% perfect. There's also the slight frustration of I need to manually put in page breaks, and that's a little bit of a back and forth iterative process. I only need to manually do it for things like this, where step 8, it would be nicer to have the figure for every step on its own, like not separated by a page like that. Or this here, having the header and only a single line on one page. That's not always the nicest way to print these off. But on the whole, this is a pretty good result, pretty accurate. So it's not going to be too much work to have the rest of this printed off appropriately. So I'm just showing this because I'm really proud of the work I did on this one. Very exciting. And it's just really nice to actually squash a bug that was kind of slowing down that process. Excuse me. So I'm extremely happy with that. So that's been my win for the week. And now I'm just going to get into a creative mindset and try to design a new desk for myself. I've got some of the groundwork documentation built in. The app is kind of set up, and now it's a matter of coming up with kind of a cooler looking design. So that'll be the rest of what I do today, and I hope that goes well. I also realize I do want to get my chat window up on the phone just in case. Hope everyone's doing well, by the way. Been a little quiet in my chat lately, and that's totally fine. I just because I know some people, maybe they're all just bots, I have no idea really, but there are some views that come in later on and stuff like that. So I feel like there are people tuning in, and I'm happy with that, but you know, the chat engagement is always even more fun. So feel free to join in and chat, ask me questions, talk about your day, talk about your projects, anything like that is totally cool with me. It would be fantastic, in my opinion. All right, chat window. There we go. All right. Part of me wonders if I should sneak in some non-programming streams from time to time, say like playing games. Wonder if that'll get a bit of a viewer bump. The only problem there is I don't want to trick people into following a channel that does programming more than gaming if they come to see games, right? These are just, I'm just verbalizing my thoughts. That's all that's happening. Okay, so let me close this up and get my other project ready to go. This is a nice reference that I don't need anymore. Not right now anyway. Nor do I need this one. Ah, yes, I will need, these are true templates, true size, 1-to-1 scale templates that you have to print out on letter paper and cut. So I actually have to put those into this document yet. So it's not quite done, but the code is ready to go for this one, so that won't be too difficult either. In fact, it might be the best bet to, I'm just thinking to myself here. But it's looking pretty good if I do say so myself. Right, so enough of this. I'll leave them open. I don't need to view them though. And close that. Oops. Okay. I'm closing all my windows the one at a time way, not like being all clever with my Emacs. Okay. Let's have a look here. Desk. My clever name. Cider Jack in CLJS. Let's hope this works without issues. It should be fine, but you never know. Sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes things go wrong. REPL type figwheel main, absolutely. And the dev branch, please. Or the dev build, I should say. Branch is not the right term in this case. Okay, I just got to connect the browser. Looks like it's working, if not a little slowly, but that's fine. I'm not in a rush today. Really, I should never be in a rush. I never do good work when I'm rushed. Okay, looks like we've got the desk. I'm not 100% convinced that this isn't moving. I'm gonna do a good old-fashioned test here. It is moving. Something is not quite right with the height and thickness calculation here, but it's not the end of the world. Hey Mike, happy Thursday to you too. I'm doing very well. How are you? Hope you're doing okay. I finally managed to oh, it's not, I can't show it. I showed it just a few minutes ago, but I finally managed to fix a bug I had with rotating group elements in SVG. Finally figured out what I was doing wrong, got that sorted, and was able to finish another design doc for the quilt pattern stuff that I keep bringing up. So That feels really good. And now Thursday is a nice sunny day, and I'm feeling great. Hope you're doing okay. Hanging in there, just cruising. Uh, just cruising until the weekend. Congrats on getting the rotation stuff done. Yeah, thanks. It's it was a big blocker and it was frustrating me, so it's really nice to move past that one. It's a satisfying moment. Just hanging in for the weekend, though. I totally get that. Well, luckily for you, it is Thursday, where you're over the middle of the week, and the weekend is in sight. I always, when I was working in an office, I would often have that where like I would just kind of want things to be the weekend, and it always made me a little sad in like an existential sense, because it's like you're kind of like, I found myself saying, "Oh, I wish the days were done," but if I wished every single day were done, then suddenly my whole life would be flashing before my eyes and it would be gone, you know? So I always kind of like, I wanted it to be the weekend, but I disliked that I was thinking I would wish the days to be done, if that makes any sense. You know, I want to hold on to the time I have. Regardless, I understand the feeling of hanging in there. You can make it to the weekend. I'm sure of it. I am sure of it. Okay. So this is a desk design doc. This desk I'm working on here, I can't remember if I said this already before. Yeah, I get that. More, I just need to do some stuff and not enough hours in the workday. Oh, fair enough. That's a little more, it's a little less existentially concerning and a little more just mildly stress-inducing that your list of things to do is bigger than the time you have available. I get that too. Well, don't let me hold you up from important work. But I won't deny that it's always fun when you're joining in chat and engaging. So I appreciate that. What was I saying though? Oh yeah, this is a desk design. The desk I have here, I modified it by taking out some of the old. It had drawers, but I would always knock my knees against them. So I took the drawers out and broke off the panels that held the drawers together. Unfortunately, it made the whole thing a little bit wobblier than I would have liked. It holds up fine for now, but I figure it's a good idea to build myself a new desk now. Wanted to make kind of a cooler looking one anyway, but the top of this is worth salvaging. So I'm gonna break the legs off of this desk, put them on a scrap wood pile or something like that, and then weld up a frame to put underneath it, basically. So I'm trying to make a parametric design dock here. So as you can see, you can in fact adjust different factors of it. But this design is super lame. This design doesn't work yet. It's literally just tubes at the corners of a piece of wood. Very lame. I want to make something a little nicer looking, but still kind of minimalist. So that's kind of the overarching goal here. I want to reuse part of my desk. I want to build something that looks nice. I also want to have some features on it where I could kind of hide wires and mount the microphone and the monitor stand and a new PC in there, kind of thing. So few ideas about how to do that. I don't know for sure what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna poke around with that today. If time and energy permits as well, I also want to be doing I want to launch FreeCAD and try to test my step file export pipeline with a real design. open it up in FreeCAD to kind of see if that works nicely. But that one might be a Friday/next week kind of deal. But we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. So that's my plan. We'll see how far into it I actually get. You know me, I can get distracted sometimes. Oops. Let's also... Wrong one. All right. I always end up moving this manually. There's probably a way to do it. There we go. So one thing about FreeCAD, and this is, so another way that I could kind of achieve the result I'm going after is to, sounds like a solid plan. It's like most of a plan anyway, and I'll just have to see how far I get. You know, no pressure, because if the plan doesn't happen all in one day, then I have a nice stream for tomorrow too, so I'm all set. Before I switch back over to my design doc, I just had the thought to point out, I guess, there are kind of a few different ways that I could integrate FreeCAD into the pipeline. I mean, long term, I do want to have functionality that does not require you to install FreeCAD, because it's a like 1.2 gig install, which space alone isn't really a concern, but FreeCAD itself can be hard to set up properly. Like it's just not a smooth setup and distribution idea. So I'd like to avoid it in the final later versions of this stuff. But anyway, for now, you can script FreeCAD directly. It has a Python module here. So for example, let's see here. Let's see if I can make, so if I undo this, so I can go in here and just for the simplest demonstration, I can type, like I can just write the Python code that produces the result that I want. Unless it doesn't work, I'm surprised to see that. But anyway, me not knowing how to do it is not to say that it can't work. Hey, Emerson, how are you doing today? Hope things are well. Let's see if I can make this work. Oh, maybe this is it. Recompute. Hey, there we go. Okay. You're fine. What about me? Oh, glad to hear that you're fine. That's nice. I am also doing very well. I'm pretty happy. I solved the bug in my code that was stopping me for a while, so I feel really happy with that. And it's nice and sunny here, so I'm in a pretty good mood. Ready to do some modeling and FreeCAD and my web thing here. So I'm feeling pretty excited about the day. What was I saying though? I was just pointing out that you can use Python to script FreeCAD, so I could produce something from my Clojure library that transpiles to a Python script that can be read into FreeCAD, so I could get basically native rebuilding of the, like I could have something that builds whatever model I have here into valid Python code, runs it in FreeCAD, which automatically produces the shape as if I had done it manually, like if it were a macro kind of thing. I could also use FreeCAD from Python as a module, so I could just have Python scripts that pull in FreeCAD module components and never launch FreeCAD completely. I can run FreeCAD from a terminal like this, and it's the command line without the user interface, so I could mess around with that via Clojure. And finally, I could do, this is kind of the weirdest way, but see, I'm already distracted from what my plan was, but there's this, I'll get to it in just a moment. There's this HyLang, H-Y, which is a homoiconic Python, basically. It's a Lisp that, well, it is Python. It's just sort of a, I don't know how you describe it appropriately. Let's see if I could just go here and read what it says. Hi is a Lisp dialect that's embedded in Python. So Hi transforms its Lisp code into Python AST objects. You can use Python completely. It basically just is Python. That's basically all you need to know. Point is, I could create a Clojure macro that just transforms the code into valid Hi code, then run that through through Python, FreeCAD, and blah 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 blah. So there's a bunch of weird ways that I could do stuff, and now I even do a different way where I generate OpenSCAD code and then import that into FreeCAD. So there's all kinds of ways that you can get your programming claws into the 3D CAD kernel of FreeCAD. Anyway, it's a fun, ridiculous thing that I'll keep messing around with, but not today anymore. So what am I actually trying to do with the appearance of this? I think for now I'll focus on the design of the actually I'm going to switch these around as well, so I get this in the middle nice and large, and I can shrink this down a little bit here. Don't need that much space for it at the moment. Oh my goodness, the sun is right in my eyes. I'm just gonna have to live with that. Just gonna have to live with it. Okay, so let me pull up, come on, there we go. See if I could find some inspiration here. I kind of want to do something with bent metal rod welded together with just some tube as the base of a frame. I don't know if that makes any sense. So this is, I want to go for a minimalist desk aesthetic, but I don't want to, so desks legs like these are kind of cool, but that's not the style I want to go for today. This I don't like because I'm definitely going to bash my feet against that post in the middle. Although this is probably a standing desk if I'm taking this design seriously. I mean, that's cool, but I don't think I'd like that. Stuff like this looks nice, but I'm not a woodworker yet. I'm doing metal at the moment. That one's neat, but again, see, I like things without like that don't get in the way of my feet. This would be cool, but I rent and I don't really want to mount things on the wall. This is a cool idea, but again, it has a crossbeam at the bottom there. So This is, by the way, how I do start some of my design projects. I just search a keyword that's relevant to what I'm trying to do, and just kind of look through a bunch of images. And then usually I kind of pick a general approach and then just kind of guess at dimensions and figure out the rest for myself. I've built furniture before, so I'm reasonably confident in my ability to produce reasonable designs. But I've not done it purely programmatically, so that'll be kind of a fun challenge. And to follow through on the design as programmed will be interesting as well. Hopefully I can get somewhere good with it. We'll see. We will see. I'm looking for something with like a 3-rod post. I'm not explaining it very well. This is a really neat idea. I love the idea of having you kind of do a pinch situation. So it looks like these legs are not physically attached to the surface. It looks like you slide them on and then you push them out like this and it kind of pinches the surface. I like that idea. Maybe I should run with that. It's interesting, to say the least. That would have its own set of problems. First of all, the sturdiness of it, it would probably wobble a lot, just like I have now, and that's not good. So I think I'll keep that in mind as a cool idea, but I'm not gonna commit to that one. Actually, so let me. Oh geez, I don't like these websites though. That's a bit of a problem. They're ugly in my opinion. Let's go. Whatever. I don't want to do this. Blah blah blah. Okay. This is neat. How does that work? I'm not sure how this even stands up. Weird. Okay. All right, soon I'm just going to have to blast past this and just design from my brain. I'm wasting time if I spend too much more scrolling through images. There's some point where you just have to kind of pull the trigger and figure something out on your own, you know? I like the idea of a little basket or grid where you can wrap cables and stuff underneath it so that when you're sitting at the desk, you don't ever see them. And if you're sweeping or vacuuming under it, all the cables are up off the ground, so it looks it'll look nice and clean then. I like that idea. So I probably want to do something with that. Here, something like this is maybe, no. That's not quite what I had in mind. It looks cool, but that's not it. All right. Oh, here we go. Okay, that leg design was what I had in mind, something kind of like that. So maybe what I'll do is let's start with something. I'm going to start by designing a piece that'll basically look like that. Then I can kind of go from there. Okay, so the bits and pieces that I have to work on now, that's the next thing to think about. I need to create what do I need to create? thinking, okay, let's do something. Let's do something, period. That's all I've got so far. Okay, oh boy, I'm already struggling to think of how to proceed with this stuff. Okay, here's what I'll do. As a start, I'll just make a set of polylines in 3D space and render that, and that wireframe will be the guide for where the rods will be intersected and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and do something with that. I'll do let's go design leg. Let's do this one, define rod leg, and I'll take the height as a variable in, and I'll also take actually for now let's see, how does this look? So it has one here. Let's do height and we'll call it spread. So spread is going to be, if you consider the top part of the three rods coming up, I want to draw an equilateral triangle between all of those. So what I'll do there is just create, I believe the right thing to do with that is thinking is spread the right yeah, well, spread's fine for now. I'll just make something and I can always adjust things. Let's just get going. That's always the most important part. Just start with the idea you've got and go from there. So let top points yeah, top points are going to be, okay, I've got a function f/regular polygon points, right? I want the radius to be some number and the number of sides I only want to be 3. That will build for me a triangle, right? It looks like it, kinda. Yeah, that should be good. So let's use that as a basis anyway. So and they're on the 0 position. So this is what I'll do. Basically all I have to do is top points I want to be the result of threading the f/regular polygon points function, taking spread and 3, and all you have to do then is I want that to be the top, so I have to just do thread that through map v the function f/v plus, yeah, for each of those points just add to it the 0, 0 height. So they're all translated up to the height. That's the top points. And then the bottom point is actually just 0, 0, 0. So then the result of this is just going to be let's see here. What's the right way to do it? I think I can do something. Let's see if this works. Let's see if I can make this render properly. Let's do polygon, or pardon me, f/union of, let's actually reduce using union the list that is first f/polygon of top points, then we'll do into, maybe I'll try to verbalize what I'm actually trying to do here in just a minute. For point in t points, for each of those points I want to do f/polyline. Is that a thing? f/line does work, right? Yes. Let's see if I can make this work. I think I can. For point in t points, make a line from 0, 0, 0 up to point. So that makes a little list. Oh, you know what? I don't even need to do it in a for loop. Let's do it with a map, because I like that as an idea. Okay, so I also did this wrong. This has to be like this. You know what? Let's just rewrite this a little bit cleaner. Let's conj. Yeah, this is what I'll do. Okay. Conj onto the list that comes from map v, this function. Yeah, f/line 0, 0, 0. Map that over t points. There we go. Okay, that's a map, and you're going to conj onto the end of that the result of f/polygon with t dash points. Okay, that should work. And then using that, I'm going to put a little new render window here. Actually, I'm gonna see if this will work. Let's go for the gold right away here and do rod leg. It has some height value, and let's make the spread 3 for kicks. Let's see if this works, or if it just chokes right away. Oh, it actually worked. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the fact that it worked. What I'm not happy with is how it looks yet, because that's not accurate to what'll actually be happening. But it did render all the edges the way I want, so that's a nice thing. I'm starting to wonder if that's too lame of a design as well. I don't know. Tricky. ship it. We're done for the day. Yeah, I'm not happy with how it looks yet. It's really lame, but I'm thinking through how I want it to look in real life, you know? I'm not going to get across exactly what I want it to look like in one go, but I am happy that the function actually worked the first time I did it. And it's responding to... That's hilarious. That looks so weird. So, first of all, this is wrong. Each of the lines in these in the leg components, what I want to actually have is like a rod with some thickness to it. So the biggest thing that's obviously wrong is these single points that they all converge on. There's no way I'm gonna actually get it to be a single point, especially if I do one rod that I bend back on itself. If I bend it, then there's gonna be a curve here, and that curve is gonna have to meet with the like the third rod is gonna have to meet at the end with the curve, and that's actually what's going on in this image here. You can kind of see it in the one little you can see it at that corner there a little bit. That curve would have to come into play. What about having cog and other engineering style cutouts? Maybe a suspension bridge inspired style or something? That'd be pretty cool. So the immediate answer that comes to mind is I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I like where your head's at, and I do have access to a laser tube cutter that I could cut out shapes into one face, and I could make that sort of a like a, I don't know what you call it, like a fun little signature thing in one of the spots of the desk. Not sure how much sense that made, but I don't want to go crazy complicated with things. So a suspension bridge inspired design sounds amazing, but honestly sounds a little more complicated than what I want to achieve, at least visually. This chair in this picture, I think is really cool. It's basically like someone made a shape in a modeling software, said, let's just take the mesh and just make the mesh the actual shape with wire. That's pretty cool. That's an idea for a different project, though. This is lame. But suspension bridge idea. Let's see what happened. Suspension bridge desk. Let's see if anyone's come up with something already. There you go. There's already some really neat ideas. Oh, that's just, I like that actually. Just literally hanging a slab from the ceiling. That's awesome. Oh my goodness, I love it. Oh man, this is hideous. It's ridiculous. I love it. This is cool. A desk with a winch. Probably someone's made that winch the standing, like to adjust a standing desk, I guess. Nah, it's not lame. Everyone has their own preferences. That's true. That is true. This is like this is lame in the sense that it's not even, this graphic here is not even representative of what I'm picturing in my head. So it's not like the picture is lame relative to the idea I have in my brain. Minimalist desk styles, I like So this is a good start to what I'm picturing, but I want something that is even more in, like a little more industrial looking than this. So it's, you know, it's heading there. But you're totally right. I shouldn't use the word lame so judiciously. It's maybe a little unfair. It's definitely a starting point, though. Okay, this is amazing. It's so silly. It's a, this is a tea candle suspension bridge. Candelabra, it says in the description. Love it. Man, it, you know, some people just really go for it, and I admire that. It's quite awesome. Right, so that's pretty much what it looks like there. So, there are these other things while my head's on it. I've seen people do. I see what you're saying. Can you use your iPad to draw and bring in something close to your idea in your head? Actually, that's a good idea. Um, yeah, actually, I will do that. Thanks for the suggestion. That is a smart thing to do. Maybe I can make something good with that. What am I trying to show you? Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'll find it, but there is some. Um, I don't know how to. Tension cable desk. Yeah, these are some crazy artistic desk designs where it's just using like cable tension to hold it up. This is the one I was picturing. This amazing looking coffee table has like a ridiculous suspension system. It looks awesome. Maybe, oh, and this one too I've seen before. Amazing, really amazing. Maybe one day I'll get into stuff like this, but that's definitely overkill for what I'm attempting this time. I'm gonna stop messing around with these now. I'm gonna go find my iPad and get a coffee, and then I'll try draw out what I'm picturing a little bit. How about that? I think that's a reasonable thing to do. All right, let's have a look. I'll be right back. Wow, that's awesome. Reminds me of the zero gravity type chairs. I think that's what they're called. Oh, you're talking about the cable suspension table that I was showing you there. Yeah. Uh, Zero gravity desks and chairs. That might be what they're called. Yes. Sorry for walking away so abruptly. just, uh, just getting myself prepped. Oh, by the way, this is a totally different question for a moment. Does the audio sound okay? I got myself a new mic here, and I haven't necessarily tested it out perfectly. I mean, it's clearly you can hear things because you're responding, but I'm just curious if it sounds okay. Is the volume acceptable? That kind of stuff. I assume it's fine because I tried to match levels pretty closely, but I am still curious. All right, let's see if I could draw something here. Software update later, please. I think one of my least favorite things about modern technology is how pushy they are with updates. Now, I love updates in the sense that they can be really important for security reasons, but I hate how pushy updates are because I think more often than not, they're just updating for telemetry purposes, Windows 10 for example. But I'm not going to get on that soapbox today. Sounds good to me, coming through on one speaker on my headphones, but I think that's a me issue. Ooh, I wonder... No, you know what? That actually might not be a you issue. This might be a mono... Actually, so I'm not going to spend too much time messing around with that for now, but actually that's actually important. Thanks for letting me know that it might be an issue on your end, but now I have to check because it might be I might have this configured only for like a mono input or I might have missed something, but I'll check one more thing briefly, and then I'm gonna just leave it for now. But that's actually really, it's important for me to check it, so thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it says it's not mono, so anyway, I'm not gonna worry too much about it. Oh, how about now? That'll be my last audio-related question, I promise. Tell me now if you can hear it coming from both speakers, if you don't mind. If it does work, then I've solved that particular problem, and that would be a good thing. You know what? You can't be an amateur streamer without running into sound problems, I think. That's like the rites of passage, I think. That and weird bots and stuff like that. Got you in both, yeah? Okay, perfect. Now I'm surrounding you. In a non-creepy way. You're sitting right in the middle of an amphitheater, and I'm speaking from the center of the stage, so the sound design is perfect that you get it from both directions. That's what it is. Nothing creepy about it at all. And now I'm gonna stop digging myself that hole. How about that? Oh, ridiculous. Merge that down. Boosh that. Okay, one day I'll do work. Welcome to welcome to my TED Talk. I appreciate your good humor, Mike. Okay, I'm gonna test that this will render on my screen, and then I'll draw a reference image. Let's see, PNG. Getting the iPad workflow would be really smart as well. Actually, I'm gonna focus, get what I want going here. So I'm a little all over the place today. Sorry about that. I hope you can be patient with me while I get my life sorted out. Okay, this one is supposed to be let's go here. Oop. No. There's the squirrel from other work. Don't mind the squirrel. Now I have to go. Not sure that this is the smart way to do it, but I think I'll only need to draw 1 or 2 images, so I'm just gonna go ahead and be fine with it. I look forward to the day where I'm smart enough to kind of get all of this stuff kind of into one sort of runtime environment where I can work kind of in a really fast, free flow way. I mean, I'm pretty free flow with a lot of things already, I'll admit, but it'd be really cool to have like a small talk kind of environment where you could link the iPad and draw directly. I mean, one day that'd be really neat. Best desk leg ever, I approve. Yeah. I'm just gonna I'm gonna train a team of live squirrels to, I mean, you can't train a team of dead squirrels, so the living part is a little bit of a redundant adjective. Welcome, this is my TED Talk where I talk about training squirrels to hold up my desk. I'm not insane, I promise. My goodness, I am off the rails today. Oh boy, it's one of those days, I guess. just a little crazy. Load file. Is it CLJ? Yes, it is. Ooh, problem. Classic. Almost there. Losing my mind. Where is this stuff here? More fun to be off than on the rails anyway. Normal's boring. You know that's true enough. I don't think I ever was normal, and I've actually never had a problem with that. I'm. You got to ride the line, I think. You know, if you're so far beyond what people would consider normal, then like, it's hard to be friend. Like, people don't want to be your friend. People kind of avoid you. But if you're like just on the outside of normal, sometimes people actually think you're cool. And that's the right place to be. All right, focus in. Get something on screen that isn't a blue squirrel. I'm only mildly off the rails, so I think that's acceptable. There's that. It's not a polygon 2. I got rid of that function because I'm trying to clean up my act. It didn't take. Or there's more. Let's try. There we go. Okay. Whew. All right, now let me do, I think it's this one. We have to actually run the function, please. Sketch to forge. No, it's not sketch to forge, actually. It's just shapes from pictures. Oh, here we go. Okay, I've got a squirrel function and everything. I forgot that I did that. Okay. I actually should be able to run, if I do this, oops. Just had the best idea. Squirrel legs with an acorn tree top. It would be so thematic. It actually would. And like you just have a bunch of acorns like piled up near the bottom of the legs too, you know, every winter. Or throughout the summer, and then every winter you roast them or do something with them. I lost the thread on that one pretty quick. I like this crazy thematic desks. Low on functionality, high on theme execution. It's brilliant. Okay, so if I actually do this, desk, output slash desk. These functions are bad because they all look for the same PNG. So I'm not being very smart about, like, these functions are not reusable in any way. Oh, what did I do? I have to do this. There we go. Okay, now this should produce a result of some kind. A single line. Oh my goodness. Let's try again. There we go. Okay. That's not the drawing. That is not the drawing, but I will create the drawing now that I've wasted so much time. Oops. Squirrel legs. Brilliant. Thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness. Well, at least the function works. Like, it is pulling from the iPad. There is I'm gonna finish drawing this and get the drawing up there, and then I'm gonna try another thing while I'm messing around with the iPad. I'm going to permit myself to waste even more time and try. I think I did it once before. I think there's a way for me to share my iPad screen through QuickTime or something like that, so I could actually draw and use it like as a whiteboard live. So maybe that's a good idea. All right, I changed my mind. I'm gonna do that first. I'm gonna see if I can make it work. Again, apologies for the off the rails nature of today. It's just wild today, and you know what? I am sorry if it's frustrating, but I'm not sorry that it's happening, because this is just how I am today. All right. I think I can make it work. Okay. File. Oh, something's going. Oh, geez. Sure. Something's going weird. Let's see here. QuickTime view. New recording. That's just my face. Shoot. There's gotta be. Trust this computer, please. All right. Oh, I'm almost there, I promise. No, it's not. It's just not working. All right. Well, I can still do my original plan, so let me just go to there. The reason I switch my capture to is just in case, sharing other screens, it's sometimes possible that notifications come up that I don't want other people to see through streams, so that is why I do that. Not trying to be a jerk, just trying to be a little bit careful. I think that's reasonable. All right, enough of this. I'm wasting so much time. Let's see here. If I design the front of the desk, if I do a front view, this would have been nice to show kind of real time, but alas, it's not going to be the case. Hopefully this will be okay. Doing a really quick and dirty sketch here so that we've got some visual interest on the screen. Okay, let's share this to the screen. All right. Rough sketch coming in. My goodness, what a time to be alive. Okay, let me run that function again. Okay, it actually, I actually can do this. Right, so let's zoom out a bit here. Okay. So with the front view, there's kind of three segments I'm considering here. The first one is the easiest by far. It's just a wood top. It is the top that I'm going to take off the existing desk. The middle section here, I'm kind of thinking of putting just a metal tube frame with, say, 2-inch standoffs like this. So I've got the wood top, then I've got a rectangular metal frame, and it is that metal frame onto which I attach everything. That's where I put a little cable basket. That's where I clamp the arms for microphones. That's where I clamp the arm for the monitor. That way, you don't mar the wood of the desk itself, and you could drill all kinds of holes in there. You could weld hooks and stuff onto it, and it's just a metal spot to be kind of beat up. And then this is a bad rendition of the idea here is it's 2 pieces of rod. This one here, you bring straight down, you bend it at a tight radius, and then you bring it up at an angle here. And then this one here, you bring in as a brace like that. So it's like a triangle with a rounded corner on the one side, due to the fact that when you bend a rod, you can't snap it perfectly. And then this spot at the very top here is just a flat metal plate that I can either weld or bolt or clamp to the metal frame here. That is what I'm thinking. The cool thing too about the metal frame is theoretically I could get small pieces of wood, screw them on the inner portion of the metal frame, and then have some shelving on the inside as well. So what I could do there is I could build in a tiny little, just a little enclosure box with maybe a little vent on the outside, and I could put like a Raspberry Pi computer in there. And if I run cabling through the tube, I could say have a Raspberry Pi or whatever, this old laptop, I could just have it sitting in there so it doesn't take any top desk space, but it's always still really close. That's kind of the idea. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. It's, like I said, not a perfect drawing, but it's better than nothing, I think. Hey, Alex the software dev, good to see you in chat again. How's it going? Maybe some height regulation? It'd be awesome, I think. Oh, you mean like some kind of mechanism by which I can adjust it to be standing or sitting desk? Is that what you mean by that, Alex? Because I agree, that would be really cool. I just, the mechanism doesn't come immediately to mind. Yeah, that's what I meant. That's crossed my mind before, and I would really like it. I'm just trying to think if there's a lazy man's way to make a good mechanism, or if I would really, really have to be smart about it. And if truth be told, I don't want to be lazy. I'd rather be smart about it. But see, one nice thing about the metal frame approach, so I don't know if you were here to hear that. It's kind of a 3-stage thing. The very top is the actual working surface, just a piece of wood, basically. This middle part is basically where everything gets attached to, ultimately. The frame is the backbone of the desk in my mind. The cool thing about that approach is I could, in the future, come up with a mechanism to kind of I could put some kind of height adjuster inside there. I could retrofit it in there at any point in the future. So that's one thing I'd like doing with, that's one thing I like about metal design in general is, I mean, assuming you have access to a metal shop, which I do, it's very easy to cut it up, grind it away, weld new stuff on there, and modularize a lot of stuff. So that does afford me some nice stuff in the future. So I would probably say as my first pass, like I want to replace this desk soon because it's wobbly. And if coming up with a really cool height adjustment mechanism would slow me down too much, I'm going to skip it. But I'm not if I come up with a really clever idea, I think your suggestion's a good one. I'm not lazy. Oh, well, I appreciate that. So I don't actually want to be lazy. Just sometimes it feels like it, you know? So I think I'm going to have to ponder the height adjustment mechanism. Basically, if I were to do a height adjuster, it would I'd kind of fit it in like, give me a second to redraw some stuff here. I think you should just have hydraulics in that space with the pie, then write a program to handle moving the desk up and down via the pie with a sound module. So if you say raise my desk, it'll do it for you. That's simple to do, right? Well, so this is, I don't want to sound arrogant, but in some sense, actually it is simple. Like, so let me clarify what I mean. I have done design with hydraulics. Hey, Lasik88, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming in and joining the chat. So how's Clojure, you say? If you give me 1 second to finish my other thought, then I can actually give a bit of an answer there. Nice, thanks. Glad you're doing well. That's great. Let me finish talking to... All right, fam. So Mike, I want to clarify. So I've done design with not hydraulics, but pneumatics. In one way, hydraulics is easier because you don't have to worry about compression, right? Because since we're not deep under the ocean, liquids we consider to have no compression. So 1-to-1, you know, you put a piston, you close a piston here, and hydraulically the piston opens there. So hydraulics are not too crazy. I mean, to have a hydraulic system with a hydraulic pump and everything is definitely overkill. But in theory, designing the mechanics for that is not more difficult than designing, let's say, a purely lever-based system. Like it's all just pin joints and moment arms and stuff like that. I can do that kind of design. The hard stuff would be, well, so first of all, I also bet there's already existing like TensorFlow libraries that do voice recognition. So probably that side of things is either already existing or not too complicated. Then connecting the pie to the hydraulic control would probably be the hardest thing for me because I'm not that good at controls development. I've not really done a lot of it. But I do know a guy who actually would be able to help and do an awesome design. So theoretically, I could actually achieve that. Now, what I would actually do if I wanted a powered system, I have an old 3D printer that isn't working anymore, but it's got some nice NEMA, I forget, NEMA 16 or NEMA 12 motors on it. And what I could do is take those, wire them up in the corners with a bit of a belt system and some threaded rod, and I could come up with a threaded rod moving mechanism where you you spin the motors, and it screws up or screws down. But I would actually prefer a purely mechanical design where you crank something or pull a lever, and a lever pops up and locks into place. So it's got a down spot and an up spot. That would be the coolest in my mind. Anyway, it's a long-winded answer. Sorry, Lasik. How's Clojure, you say? I personally, well, first of all, I hope you're still there. I hope I didn't bore you away. Let me know if you're still there. And by the way, let me know. Yeah, you're there? Cool. Do you have you had experience with Clojure yourself? Have you had experience with any Lisp languages at all? Because I'll just be honest up front. I happen to love Clojure quite a bit. It's a lot of fun. I'm proud of the fact that I managed to teach it to myself, so that I'm, maybe take everything I say about it with an asterisk that, language preferences are not always that important, and these are my own opinions, right? So, take it or leave it. No, I wrote a Lisp interpreter recently. Oh man, I haven't done that yet. That sounds like a fun project. What did you write it in? Did you? I know there's a pretty popular one that's based on Python. Oh, you did it in Go? Oh man, that's neat. I think there's a whole community of people that do Lisp interpreters in X language, right? That's amazing. That's so cool. Excuse me. Congratulations. But to be real about Clojure, correct, yeah. Yeah, no, that's an awesome project. You should be proud of that. You should for sure be proud of that. I'll tell you, I'll tell and show you my favorite aspects of working with Clojure, okay? On its right up front, one thing I've learned to really, really love is prefix notation, and the fact that you don't have to put commas between things to separate lists. Like this, being able to just do a function on a collection like that, fantastic. One of my favorite things. I do programmatic CAD and programmatic design, so I write a lot of 3D point vectors like this, and it sounds silly, but I'm extremely happy that I don't have to write commas all over the place like this. It's amazing. Okay, so that's that's a very, very small reason as to why I love it. I'll demonstrate probably my favorite thing is REPL-driven development. Not sure if you've heard that term before, but the REPL is amazing in my opinion. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's say I'm going to write a function that says hello, hello friend, right? I'm sure some of this you might know already. You also wrote a REPL for your language? Oh man, I'm just preaching to people who already know what's up. I'm preaching to the choir here. So Lasik, by the way, feel free to stop me if I'm saying stuff that you're totally familiar with. I don't want to, I don't want to assume people know everything, nor do I want to assume people know nothing. So don't let me talk down to you. That's not what I'm trying to get at. Okay, please continue. Sure, gladly. REPL-driven development. I tried to understand it when I first learned Python, because Python has a REPL as well. And it never clicked as to why that would be beneficial, but when I started learning Clojure, oh man, it was amazing. So, hello friend, this weird function, string hi x. Okay, boom. Oh, now I want to see, well, what does that actually do? What does the data look like when I do that? I just hit the command and it immediately evaluated it in the REPL here, and I can right away run it, right? I can right away find it there. Hi, Lasik. I can, and I can go through the history. Mike, Alex. Okay, so that's amazing, right? Like, boom, I wrote a function, I'm using it right away. I just love how that feels. Can you link your language? Would love to take a look at it. Go to my Twitch profile, you'll find a GitHub link. Hey, Lasik, you are, that's cool. And if you want, you could actually, I'm pretty sure I unblocked, like you could put your link right in the chat if you want to. And if you're honest and if it's a safe link to click, you can go ahead and do that. Those are my stipulations. Bell, cool. I'm not gonna open it myself. Just I'm gonna keep doing my thing. But thanks for sharing that, by the way. And I'll do my best to have a look after my stream too. That's fun stuff. But one more Clojure thing. I don't know how common this is in other Lisp languages, but I first learned the concept of reduce and map and filter in Clojure, and I happen to really love that. So if I map hello friend over the list of names, right? Mike, right? I can do it all in one fell swoop, and I love that. It's fantastic. So the short answer to so how's Clojure is great. I love it. But yeah, so the basics of functional programming. Yeah, so I guess I should mention this. I am not by schooling a programmer. I am pretty much self-taught. I taught myself Python. Haven't used it in a while, so a bit shaky on that one. I know just enough HTML and CSS and JavaScript to kludge together something on GitHub pages, but I don't really love web development. And then I taught myself Clojure because I thought it would be a nice way to wrap my head around more complex concepts for programming. So I'm self-taught, right? So there might be gaps that seem silly, like that things I don't know that are maybe obvious to someone who studied computer engineering or computer science. So be patient with me in those instances. But you know, even the basic, to me, self-taught person, the basics of functional programming were revolutionary when I figured out how valuable they could be. And it opened up how I think about writing programs. It actually made things feel simpler to me in many ways. And so for those reasons, I really love Clojure, because Clojure was the language in which I was exposed to those ideas for the first time. All wrapped up in what I really like about Clojure is once you get used to the prefix notation, I actually think it's really easy to read. It's simple. You tend to write shorter functions, and all of that just makes it run in my head nicer. Finally topped off with the fact that Rich Hickey, the creator of Clojure, in my opinion, is a rather thoughtful developer who has strong opinions but communicates them very well, and happens to be a good programmer. So the language he designed, along with his team at Cognitect, is who handles Clojure. It's not just Rich now; it's a team, right? I think I think it's a really well maintained and designed language. So I trust it as well. So there, Rich Hickey, Cognitect is the company. Stuart Halloway is a major contributor. I don't know his actual function, but he's core to the team for sure. So you know, I trust the people who are making the language too. So that's my kind of broad, sweeping review of Clojure. I like it. And it's been a fun thing for me to use. That's actually great. We don't need hyped languages. We need well-maintained ones, slow but steady. Yeah, I think because new languages are easier and easier to make, I don't really mind that there are hyped languages, as long as there are also steady, slowly developed languages. I feel like then you get this kind of really nice feedback in the broad ecosystem of programming, where those fast languages, the hyped ones, are kind of, they have one great idea and people mess around with it and make harsh criticisms and strong claims of loving it. And then the slower languages, with the people who take their time to really consider what's important, can look at those and say, ah, this is what happened with this kind of feature. Is there a way that we can smartly adapt that into the language we're writing? Is it necessary? And those are really important questions, I think. But I kind of feel like having both can produce really nice results in general. But I tend to agree. I like using a language that is well maintained, slowly and steadily improving, and Clojure fits the bill completely from my perspective. So I like it. The hardest thing for me was wrapping my head around how to set up the environment, and what was Lean doing, and what is deps.eden, and all that kind of stuff was confusing for me. Namespaces took a while for me to understand what was going on, because one thing that happens is a lot of Clojure projects are small, written by one person, and really good, but a little bit confusing if you're really new to things as to what namespaces to pull in and where the entry point is and that kind of stuff. So that sort of thing took me a while, I will admit. But, you know, it just takes time and patience and practice, right? And then you can start doing fun things. Speaking of fun things, I wonder if I'll actually get to my design today. I've been talking a lot more, which I actually like doing, but sometimes I worry that people tune in and see me not really doing anything, and then are like, what is this guy up to? So here, I'm not sure if everyone's seen this. Some people have. This is actually the kind of design work I'm trying to do. Have a sort of design doc with interactivity here, so you can adjust your dimensions on the fly and get things going there. So that's the real idea. So I was wondering if I should design the legs. I realized there's one thing I want to do differently about the legs here. This is an inspirational page that I can't bear to look at right now. I don't need that either. Nor do I really need this. I'm going to call that one good. Boy, oh boy. I feel like I was talking a little fast. I hope what I was sharing was actually making sense to people. I do my best to explain things fairly clearly, but I sometimes am concerned that things make sense in my own brain, but don't make sense out loud. So if there's anything that I say that is confusing or unclear, no one should hesitate. Please, please, please ask. I always want to do my best to explain things better if there's opportunity to do so. All right, so I'm going to split this, get the right REPL here, and this is a different REPL here, so that I'm not losing my place here. Okay, there we go. All right, so now that I verbalized this earlier, I'll put it in the code here as a starting point. If I do surface leg assembly, let's make another section here. Split that and do frame, we'll call it. So LASIK, if you're still tuned in, do you use Go as, like, do you use that frequently? Is that your main language, as it were? I've not used Go yet, but I keep hearing about it, and it seems like a kind of an intriguing one to learn. Seems like a relatively simple language. No, I use it for playing. Okay, fair enough. That's cool. It's kind of in the back of my mind as a cool one to learn. Nothing special, to be honest. Okay. Well, that's fine. Is it true that it's often used in the context of where someone might reach for C or C++? Would someone similarly reach for Go? It's simple, but all the complexity of the problem reflects in your code as spaghetti. Okay. That's interesting. I wonder if, I don't know. It's not a system language, but it's great for small CLI tools. Okay. So that was actually a misunderstanding on my part. The way you describe it makes perfect sense. Small CLI tools, that actually makes a lot of sense. Cool. Neat. Go. Oh, Mike, is Google is back in Go? I think I knew that actually. Would agree on that. I guess that makes a lot of sense, right? You know, huge company like that, it kind of means that if you learn Go, that skill is at least useful in a context in which you can get paid for the skill, I guess. Huh. Never really thought about that all that much. Okay, this frame, I don't know why. Anytime I'm doing a Clojure script app, like in all of my own Clojure code, I follow this situation here. I do defin and then the name, and then in a new line I do the arguments to the function. I don't know if that's better, but that's what I do. But anytime I start writing a React reagent app, for some reason that just, my brain doesn't do that, and I have no idea why. I don't know why I'm inconsistent that way, other than the fact that I'm just an inconsistent person a lot of the time. Okay, so the frame main dimensions are just going to be the width of the frame, the depth of the frame, and the height of the frame. And we're going to see how that works, yeah? I would never, it's either become a staple for Google or it'll die off in favor of something more simple that Google invents or acquires over the next 5 years. I would never use it for web apps. Even Java has more to offer when it comes to expressiveness. If Java's better than Go for web apps, that's terrifying. What is, like, the killer language for web apps in general? I wonder about that. Because, like, it's kind of like every modern language just sort of somehow kind of compiles to JavaScript if you're doing client side, or is a server application. Java is actually pretty decent since Java 8. Actually, I can kind of vouch for that. I mean, I'm using Clojure, but I have Clojure backed on, I think, Java 8 or 11. I don't remember which. And things are pretty nice. Well, that doesn't tell me anything. Java 11. Huh. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are improving with Java, all the time. For server side, Node gives you a lot of bang for your buck, not a lot of boilerplate, and you can scale up pretty well. 15 is the latest version? Oh boy, I'm way behind. Oops. That's my bad. That's embarrassing, actually. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but that's pretty funny. You pair it with Spring or whatever else you use for making a server, it becomes bloated. You know, Mike, I actually don't know enough to be able to comment on that one way or another. So you could very well be right. I've actually never done that. I do CAD stuff, so that's a little different, right? I think everyone who uses Spring also hates Spring, but loves its completeness and can recognize that it's powerful. You know, in the way that I kind of hate Excel, but still recognize that it's probably the best tool for doing spreadsheets and a lot of things. I mean, the reason I hate Excel is not because of spreadsheet stuff, but anyway. So whenever Spring comes up, I hear negative things, and then there's always some people talking about exactly what LASIK is saying, where it might be bloated or whatever, but it has a lot of feature completeness, which is a very important thing for a lot of contexts. So actually it is bloated, because for the love of God, how the microservice can consume 1 gig of memory. Yeah, well, you know what? Everyone just keeps saying, well, memory's cheap, there's more and more of it, so we can use more and more of it, and then you end up with a computer that feels just as slow as it ever was. Oh, this mess we make. Okay, so this frame, I want to get something more on my design here, so let's do it. Okay, so the frame I'm going to make out of 1x2 tubes. So let's do cross section. I'm going to make rectangle tube cross section following the dimensions that I just said. The width to the height 1, and the thickness is going to be 0.83 is probably the thickness to use. 0.65, actually let's try 0.65. It's lighter, it should be okay as well. Probably won't crush that, so I think that's okay. So we'll go with that. So that's the cross section. And then the let's see here. Most Spring services are legacy systems and built with old versions of Java, leaves bad taste in people's mouths. Most modern Spring and Java might be pretty decent, but I've only been on legacy stuff. That makes a lot of sense. And I can totally see how that's frustrating or tedious or all of the above. I've never worked in those contexts though, so I can't add anything other than consolation for any frustrating systems that you've worked in. Briefly, I brought up Excel. The stuff I've worked with is, so I'm from like a mechanical engineering background, right? So I end up on design teams with people who don't know programming, but do know what they need in terms of a bill of materials or a simple calculation done again and again. So people always make their bespoke Excel sheets where sometimes a real app or server or proper programming solution would be ultimately better. So I end up hating legacy Excel systems. I've never worked with legacy Java, so stay away from them, stay sane. I'll keep that. That sounds like good advice. So this is the tube cross section. And this is the rod cross section. It's just going to be a circle with a radius of 1/4 inch. Ooh, no, that's way too. The rod itself I'm going to use will be 1/4 inch, so the radius will be 1/8. That makes more sense. And I can use that. Okay, so bottom of the frame. Boom. First thing to do you know what? Verts tube W tube and oh wait, no, tube cross section. Boy, naming these things is kind of hard sometimes because they're only relevant in the context of this function. But still, I want it to try and be clear. So we've got the width tubes, and then I also have the depth tubes. They both use the cross section, so I can thread the cross section through the transformation, which is going to be f/extrude, and I'll extrude it to the, in the width case, it'll be extruded by the width. So it'll extend across the whole front of the desk. And then I'll leave it at that. That's the tube piece. This one is a little more interesting in the sense that you take the cross section, and then you extrude it. I'm going to change this up slightly. Cross section width 2, cross section height 1, cross section, and I'll leave the thickness hard coded here. The reason I'm doing that is so that I can rewrite this later in a more intelligent way. But first of all, if I leave, so I make these messy let statements as a start because it does let me kind of pull out right away the parts that are parameters versus hard-coded values. So in this case here, the cross section of the tube I know is going to be 2 by 1 by the design I have in my mind, but the 2 and 1 measurements, or sorry, dimensions I should say, are also relevant in the length of the tubes themselves. And so since I want to use those in a calculation here, it makes sense to parameterize them. So for writing the first pass of a function, just pull them out and put them in the let statement here, and then they're variables in some sense. So that's useful to be able to do that nice and quickly. Sorry. I have siblings that live kind of in different spots around Canada and the United States, and we're trying to figure out what's happening for our Christmas. You know, we can't all travel, which is, I mean, you know, good for safety. But then we're trying to ship book packages to one another, and we're all going crazy trying to figure it out. So that was distracting me. Okay, so I'm pulling those out because I need to, for this tube here, I do actually need to extrude it by the depth minus 2 times the tube width, which is x cross-section width. So those are the 2 parts, and then the verts. So there's 3 total part types. And then I'm just going to assemble it. Oops, what did I do? Something's wrong. I missed something here. One day I'll set up, you know, nice par edit or par infer and learn it properly so that I don't mess up parentheses all the time. But it is not this day. Right, so now I can just assemble this basically by just translating everything into position and then unioning it. Pretty straightforward, really. Do I want to do it that way though? Yeah, I'll do it that way. Reduce with F union the result of, oops. It's a messy way to write it, but it's the first thought that comes to mind. I can always fix it as long as I can get it rendered, then I'll be okay. Right? I think so. Okay, so this first thing, let's do the simplest version that I know is wrong. Let's do the width tubes. Oh, I should call it singular only. That makes more sense to me. Okay, so we thread width tube part through the transformations f/translate. All we have to do is translate it half the width. No? Yes. Backwards, I think. And half of the depth backwards. I think that's correct. Sure, I'll find out soon. Better to get it on screen and then fix it visually. One downside of how I'm doing this is you get quick feedback because when I save this it does refresh and display if it works, but it's not necessarily literally live feedback, which is something I've been trying to figure out how to actually make really nice. I don't have a clear answer for it yet. I mean, other than obviously just using graphical CAD interface, but that's not exactly the goal I have all the time. So not quite what I'm after. Not quite. Right. So this one would only be that way. And now let's try. Let's get the ball rolling soon here. Nice to get something new on screen. Oh, these ones will have to be rotated as well. Ooh, wait, am I doing this wrong? The answer is probably. That should be like that. And then this should be the same, yeah. Okay. Also, these ones have to be f/rotated by, what's the syntax? Shape and then angles. Right, this one I have to rotate about Z. So rotate 0, 0, 90. All right, I think that'll work. I think that makes sense. And then we do the same on this one. Translate f/rotate. Okay. The moment of truth. Is it gonna work? Let me frame. Ooh. Frame weldment. I don't know. I don't want to have the same name for a variable and function. That confuses me and is not a good idea generally. So this frame weldment, I'm just going to pass it the width the same depth, and the height is just going to be 10, but that's currently not used, so it doesn't totally matter. So if I cons top onto legs, wait, how does this work again? X and then collection. I'm going to change this. If I concat like this, I don't know if that's smart, but it might work. We'll find out. Frame top and legs. Let's see what breaks. Well, it didn't break at all, but it totally didn't work. All right, so what did I mess up? Probably a lot of things. Probably a lot. Let's have a look here. Oh boy, I only have about half an hour to 45 minutes, so I'm a little slow on things today. But hey, I had a good time doing it anyway, so I'm not gonna let myself be upset by it. And all this same kind of work is exactly what I'll be doing tomorrow as well, so you know, really, I'm kind of right on track anyway. Time flies when you're having fun. It sure does. And you're totally right. I am actually I'm having a good time today. I'm having a good one. You know, and I hope people tuned in are having a reasonable time too. I don't know that I say this enough, but I sincerely appreciate people who come in and chat, and just it is a lot of fun for me. And I hope it's fun for people who are watching and chatting too. That's one of the goals of me streaming, so that's a win. Okay, so what is wrong? This tube cross section is being rendered properly. I feel as if this isn't working the way I need it to. The width of this assembly should be the same as this width. So why isn't it? Stuff's moving. What did I do wrong here? Well, first of all, let's have a look at this here. Oh, you know, here, I'll actually start by, let's get rid of the union as a potential downside here. Okay, so we just have one. Okay, so it looks like the extrude isn't even working here. Let's see. Oh, weird. Not sure that I'm a fan of that. Okay, so the tube renders appropriately when you don't do anything to it. Let me change how I write this for a second. First of all, this should be fine. Yeah. Now, what I would like to do, actually, let me change this up by, oh, here's the problem. I forgot to add the Z dimension to translate it, excuse me, and then it kind of failed silently. Oh boy, jeez. Drinking water too quickly, I guess. I feel like such an old man that's a legitimate problem I have. Oh, I drank my water too quickly. Oh, how fragile. I actually feel like relatively youthful and young most of the time, but I work out a lot, and after like Monday, crazy hard work on bench press and stuff, Tuesday a bunch of deadlifts, and then tonight I've got Well, I did. Yesterday was a lighter day, and then tonight is going crazy heavy with squats and stuff like that. And after a week of intense weightlifting like that, I feel like an ancient human trying to like get up the stairs of my apartment because you feel all of your muscles. It's like, oh, is it worth it? Those are the times where I feel old for sure. Otherwise, I feel okay. And I do think it's worth it. Damn, I love deadlifting. Oh man. So it is one of my favorites, but for a long time, I really struggled with it in terms of maintaining a nice form on my back and shoulder, keeping my shoulders nice and locked and everything. So I had low confidence with it, and I was frustrated with it. But I just decided to just take it slow, not worry about lifting heavier and heavier, but really trying to focus on getting execution of it down. And let me tell you, having done that, now I feel more confident in it and I like it a lot more. So yeah, I'm in that same boat now. It's a nice one. It's a nice one. I managed to my brother and we built up our gym in a spare room in the workshop. And over the summer, because of pandemic situations, two of my sisters were at my parents' house, and so we taught them how to do all the weightlifting stuff, and they learned how to do deadlift as well. It was really fun. And not just deadlift, to be clear. Like we try to teach a well-rounded set of everything, right? Because you don't only ever want to deadlift, you want to do other stuff too. But that was a lot of fun. That was good fun. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I have to rotate this. I need to rotate it. Let me first rotate it. I want to rotate it 90 degrees on Y, and I think I can combine this into one set if I also rotate it 90. Oh no, I would have to do, this should work. 90 about Z, 90 about Y. I think that'll orient correctly, but I don't remember for sure. Ah, yes, exactly. Okay, let's zoom in on this baby a little bit. Okay, so that is the center of that rectangle is on the, like the x-axis is the center line of that tube, which is good for me. Now that it's oriented that way, I'm going to just translate it so that the center of that tube is centered on the origin. So that means all I have to do is a negative, this is right, negative half width minus 0 and 0, 0. That should pop it to the middle. Perfect. Okay, so that is a good rotation on that tube. Maybe I should, you know what, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to copy this into this here. I'm going to combine it into one, because that's really all I do need. So there we go, rotate, translate. There we go, that's the shape. So this is one philosophical conundrum I run into sometimes, in the sense that it's not always clear where I should bake in to a definition of a part the translations and rotations, because in some sense the pure form of a part design doesn't matter where it is in space or what orientation it has in space. The part as the part doesn't need to be placed anywhere, right? But pragmatically speaking, it absolutely matters. You want your model to be close to the origin so that when you put it into some scene, it's not like a kilometer away and you can't see it. That is confusing. But as a canonical, as like the canonical part, right? You kind of don't want or need to bake in a particular rotation or positioning. So I end up second guessing myself as to where to place things, you know? I'm not sure if that is even making sense. It's entirely possible that I worry way too much about that kind of stuff. In fact, it's probable. Okay, but now I would like to do the same thing with the depth first tube. Now this one will only have the depth divided by 2. That looks wrong. Oh, it is wrong because it has to be it has to be this distance technically. And here I am duplicating calculations a little bit, and I don't love that feeling. Oop, what did I do wrong this time? There we go. Hey, whoa. That's right. I have to do this whole thing divided by 2. I should pull that out as a what am I doing wrong now? I'm losing my mind. There we go. That's correct. Okay, so this gets pulled out as a variable d tube height dth is this. Wait, does that work? Yes, it does. And then it goes here. Oh, no, that's the wrong spot to change that. That one is not correct. This one is DTH. Extrude that. Excuse me. There we go. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Except this one, I don't want to rotate 90-90 like this. I want to, in fact, rotate 90-90 like this. Will that work? Ooh, not quite. 90-90-90. Ah, okay, so this is going to take a little more attention. Okay, so translate 0-0-90. Oh, this is simpler. Just 90 about x, boop, 0 there, and then you rotate around, or translate, sorry. All I need to do is translate on the y-axis. There we go. Negative depth tube height divided by -2. That should, pop it into the middle. Wrong way, my friend. There we go. Okay. Whew. Now just make sure I put that into the proper definition here. Okay. All right, we're getting closer now. All right, now let's see what it looks like. It's gonna be wrong still. Ooh, horrible, horrible. Intriguing. I think this won't work. It does not. All right. Uh-oh. I broke it. go. All right, I'm gonna go to the washroom for a minute. I will be right back. Won't be long. And then I'll try to fix this up before I go. Hopefully I can do that. Be back in just a minute. Right, okay, let me see if I can fix any of this. I also realize there's a redundant rotation here and a redundant rotation here. All right, let's have a little look at that. It's not really better. All right, whoops, come on. There we go. Right. What am I doing? It kind of looks as if I were to do this, I wonder if I have a problem with how I'm doing it. Like, I wonder if unions don't stack nicely in the way that they're currently implemented. That might be, that doesn't really seem to be the cause of that issue. So let me step through this again and have a look at what I'm doing wrong. Oh, no, again, I know what it is. This is me being silly yet again. It's, the reduce is fine. Should be fine anyway. Whoops. Okay, it's once again, I was working in 2D earlier, and so I'm forgetting that I do in fact need to specify the third dimension for it to translate appropriately. There we go. Well, now, except for the one little concern that the positions are wrong, but that's not a big deal. I can fix that. Okay, so let's focus on this one first. Since I've already translated it in the half width dimension, I only need to do it there. That should be correct. It's still going to be wrong on the corner, but that's more correct than it was before, which is a good step to have, or a good start, I should say. This one will also be 0 there, so that, okay. Now these ones are almost correct, except these are 0, and this is 0. All right, there we go. We're much closer to an actual frame. I just have to I know what's wrong here. I take that back. I don't know what's wrong here. Let's change the orientation here. I really do need to have some kind of viewing context where I can rotate it in real time. Soon enough that will have to happen. And I mean, like, I can set up a slider that'll rotate about a single axis. I want to be able to rotate the same way that I can rotate in a CAD app like this. I need to build a WebGL viewer for this stuff, which, if I cheat and use Three.js as a base, I could probably get something up and running relatively easily, but I don't like Three.js. Well, I love it, but it's kind of, it's a bit heavy for what I want. But that's a problem for another day. Let me instead just go over to the assembly component here. All I have to do is change the isometric render here to the front view. For real? I thought I had that. Apparently not. I have must be right instead of top. There we go. Good enough. Oh, okay. So they are aligned. It just is really hard to tell. Good to know. Well, so there's two little itty bitty problems. The first is these are this edge has to be moved in by 1 inch, so the D tubes here have to go like this. They have to be moved in the X direction, this full amount minus half of XS width, yeah. And that's true of this one as well. Just so that their edges are flush with the other tube. Pretty simple. Okay, that should move this in. Oh, I went exactly the wrong way. This one's correct. It's in fact this one. Oh yes, of course. Oops. There we go. Okay, so that is now on the correct side of things, as is this one, right? Yep. I physically held up a straight edge to my screen to confirm that they were lined up. Sometimes the low-tech solutions for testing things is the quick and easy. Another way, I've done this before, like doing actual design drawings and stuff. If you have a real object that you need to make sure is like you're in the right ballpark for things, you hold it or have someone hold it directly on your screen, line up your view and zoom in until one thing you know to be correct is the right size, and you can see if you're way off. Like you just hold the physical object in front of your screen and compare it to your drawing on the screen at the right zoom level to see if you're like close to the proper dimensions. It's a good rough check. It's kind of a crazy thing to do, but I kind of love it. I also actually am just looking at this. Well, first off, here, see the axes don't change because I hard coded the axes transformation. So that's something I do have to change. I want to make the axes an object, not just a 2D save of the single orientation, so that when I change the orientation transform, it actually transforms the axes too. Because this is extremely unhelpful. It doesn't make any sense that it's like that. The only thing this is helpful for is it is correctly still on the origin, so I can still see the center point here. It just doesn't point to anything useful anymore, except the Z direction. That's still useful, but no good. No good. I should also move the frame up slightly like this, and that'll be, I will actually do that. So it's got to be plus half, yeah, XS height divided by 2 on all of the Z coordinates. Yeah. I also realized I actually could have done that. I could have, since this is unioned, this is a single object, I could have just transformed this whole object once instead of copying and pasting the transform into there. But sometimes there's always more than one way to move objects around, and it's not always obvious which way is the most appropriate. I also noticed this is off here. That's incorrect. This should be in by looks like half an inch. Okay, so this frame is almost done. I do still have to create the vert here. It's the circle. Extruded by the height. Yeah. Yeah, that's accurate. And then vert. One day I think I'll get like clever about if there's a single part that you know you're gonna position and transform and have a bunch of copies. I want to make some kind of well, a few different kinds of auto positioning functions, basically, kind of where you give it matrix of, or not a matrix, like a list of, you send a list of transforms and a part into the function, and it gives you out an array of that part copied to all of the new positions and orientations that it was given. And then you can use that, you could use that for radial arrays. Say if you need to do a bolt flange, you could do grid arrays, so you could have an XY grid with even spacings. You could do any, you could distribute copies along any parametric curve discretized over a certain set of points. You can do anything, but I do need that function so that I'm not copying and pasting stuff like this all the time. I think that's probably a smart thing to do. I don't know what I would call it, like array copy or something like that. Although that might be a bad name for it, I'm not sure. But yet again, that is a problem for another day. And instead of translating it 2 divided by xs, it actually gets translated up the whole way. Okay. Save this. It didn't work. Why is that? Maybe it did work, kind of, not really. Let's change this back to isometric. Man, stuff is more wrong than I thought. Okay. Well, let me just try to get some sense here. I realize I should also check. I'm not even sure that the frame is 100% finished yet. It looks like I have something wrong with the, oh, I'm off by an inch, and I know why. Okay, let's double check that though. Let's make it the top view for a second here. Yeah, okay. Okay, so before I focus on the rod parts here, let's have a quick peek at what I did wrong in these parts of the frame. This is wrong. Okay, that's promising. I think that's correct now. Let's make it isometric again. There we go. That looks good. Now I just need to move these the rods to their correct positions. Okay. Oh, and of course, all 4 of them are in the exact same spot. That's why I only see one, obviously. Of course. So I think what I actually want these to be is triangles, which would be really cool to get a single rod, bend it into a triangle, and just make like a sort of truss looking thing as part of the frame. That might be fun. It might be overkill, but it would be pretty neat. Or I could go with even thinner rod. Ooh, that might be even cooler. Instead of 1/4 inch rod, I do like really thin, like 1/8, maybe 1/16 inch rod, and I just make like a 3D truss. I just make a whole bunch of triangles and then weld or wire them together into a solid truss piece just for the aesthetics of it. That might be pretty cool. So I'm gonna have to think about that one, but let me put a little note to myself here. It would be really cool to make a 3D truss out of thin rod wired and or welded together. Consider welded together instead of just having the vert rods. Make it look cool. And on that note, let me just move these into their kind of placeholder positions, and then I'm gonna get going once I do that, because it's almost time for me to go. That's my deal. That's my deal. It's almost time to go. Okay, so this first one, it's in the correct position width-wise. This second one, I just need to make negative there. Realize the top view is useful again. Where am I looking? Isometric. Top view. That's right. This, why is that one wrong? What did I do? Oh, yeah. This has to be like that. There we go. Okay, beautiful. And then this one actually I made one little mistake here. Let's do it like this. Okay, and now I need this. For this one. Oops. Oh boy. D divided by -2. Yeah. This one +2. This one -2. This one +2. See, this is not particularly readable. Whoop. Did something wrong. Ooh, accidentally did that. There we go. They're at least all on the right. So they're 1 inch in from the frame corners there. That looks good. They look too small. If I make 1/2 inch ones, that's definitely, you know, as a placeholder thing, I'm not ashamed of that. I think it looks okay. Wait a second. Right, I'm now off by okay. I did something wrong with course. It's here. This actually has to be no, that's right. This has to be Yeah. Right? Wrong way. There we go. And this one is minus this whole thing. Readability is down to nothing with this. But those are correct. Now, just have to do it down here. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, let's make it X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, 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 whatever. Oop, that's wrong. This is where par infer or something like that would be to my benefit. And I keep putting off learning it like a chump. Yes, perfect. Okay. This one here becomes that one. Yes? Good. This here, almost done. Almost done. Oh, what did I do? I did, oh, I messed something up. Oh, right, it ended up in exactly the same spot. That's not what I need. There it is, okay. Now this one is gonna be the same again, right? Yep, and then this last one oh, I did it wrong again. Let me make a little note to myself about the thing. I was talking briefly about the idea of doing like array copy. I have to put a little note to myself so that this gets all cleaned up a little bit. At least it's all correctly oriented now. And now let's switch the view to isometric again. The tabletop will be too high, but I can fix that one later as well. That won't be too difficult. Where's the... There we go. No, there we go. Isometric. Yep. Well, we're getting somewhere at least, right? That's obviously, like I said, I expected that to be in the wrong position, but it's a good start, and it should still be reactive. Yep. Hey, it looks like a coffee table. See, that's one reason why I like the idea of reactive live documents is like, technically, if I can control things like the height and whatnot, obviously, like I keep saying, this isn't done yet. It's not wired up appropriately, but like, look at that. I can control the dimensions and I can get literally different designs from the same code, which I think is really powerful. I like that a lot. That's a constant thing I keep bringing up because I do think it's a really powerful way to design stuff and share designs too, because a desk design that works for me might work for only me because I have a certain available space. But if someone else could take a design and modify to fit their own dimensions, then suddenly the design is useful again to them. I think that's really cool. So that it's reactive is still nice, of course. It's a lot of work to do yet, but I like doing it, and I'll get there. So that is gonna be it for me for the day. Not sure how many people are still tuned in, and that's okay. Oh, hey, Mike. Had to step away for a bit. Desk is looking good, though. You just stepped back. I'm about to sign off for the day. I gotta get going soon. But thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Anyone else who's tuned in, thanks as well. Anyone who's talked in chat, not sure how many people are still around, but thanks for that. It always makes my streams fun. It's one of the reasons I keep doing this, so I really like that. Oh, your timing is the worst. Oh, don't worry about it. But I do have to get going. I'll be on tomorrow. Yes, Mike, I will be back tomorrow, and I'll be working on this desk design again. I had a few ideas for making it actually look a lot cooler. I think I want to do a little bit of a triangular truss sort of thing in the frame element here. And so tomorrow I'll be spending some time on the aesthetics of it a bit. Tonight I'll try to test to see if I can export to this 3D viewer. Maybe that'll be kind of cool to view it in 3D as well. So those are the things I'll be working on tomorrow. But yeah, I'll be back in. I'm happy with this progress. It is actually working, and it's actually a design that I can build, which is a good thing. Still need to fix up the dimensions and positions of these other things, but it's still reactive, which is exactly necessary, or exactly what I like about doing design this way. So things are coming along. Things are coming along. But yeah, I mean, I say it all the time because it's true. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for participating in the chat. It's always great fun. I really do like that. Cool. See you tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to be heading out. Have a good one. And that's all I've got to say. I'll see you later.